Welcome to another, is it edition I'll call it now? Another cyber practice group session. It's always good having you guys around. I believe more people would join us as we continue with the program today. Yeah, it's going to be another interesting session. My name, as always, for the new ones, for the newbies, my name is Dr. Mutala Sisi. I'm the CEO of Marshall Technology. That's the company that owns the cyber practice group. And we are a consulting firm, cybersecurity consulting firm, as well as a cybersecurity career accelerator company as well. So we help people get into cybersecurity by title or not. And a lot of people join us to change their stories to move to bigger things and better things. And it doesn't matter if you're already doing cybersecurity or you're just about to join. That's what we do. And that's a little bit about myself. I'm the facilitator for today's session, and with me is Emmanuel Arabambi. Can you introduce yourself uh,
Yeah,
to the
sure.
community?
My name is Emmanuel and Arabambi. Um, I basically joined Marshall Tech. That was, I think, September or thereabouts. I work as a project manager as well currently. And I've been also trying to transition into cybersecurity basically. And again, it's been fun so far in terms of, the job hunting, my experience with the hiring managers and also even with the recruiters, right? I mean, I've been learning ever since I've actually been, interviewing and all that. So again, based on today's a session that we're going to be having, yeah. So we look forward to your participation as well as we move along.
It's interesting that you're still saying you're trying to transition. In my head, I'm like, how many cybersecurity projects have you actually done at work with us? I'm like, okay,
Yeah, well,
but I
look
get you.
you,
You won the
look you.
title, right? But yeah, it's good. Thank you. Good to
Mhm.
have you here. Doing this with me. So, just in
Mhm.
case you're wondering, especially for those that are new here, we do have a planning team for Cyber Practice Group. And yes, besides the fact that I own the company, I'm also part of the planning team. Emmanuel is, and a few other people that I already here and would join us later in the program. So we rotate the facilitation, and from time to time, other people would come in and all that too. I would also say that we have a community now on school, and I'll share the link as we go on for everyone to do. It doesn't matter if you're part of our career accelerator program or you're an outsider. For now, it is free for all to join, just so you don't miss anything and we can continue to learn and grow together as a community. So I'll share the link as we progress with the program, as we have more people join us. So you can join. The recording from today's session will be made available on there within the week, so that you don't miss anything. And there'll be conversations going on from time to time around self-development and other things related to cybersecurity. Hey, back to today's topic. So today we'll be looking at AI, artificial intelligence, for those that don't know what that is. So artificial intelligence, the double-edged sword. So we'll be looking at how to navigate the risks of AI usage. We'll actually go deeper, go beyond that. We'll look at the good, the bad, and hopefully not the ugly, but yeah, we'll touch on a few things. And a bit on the agenda for today. So we'll start, Emmanuel will get us started with the AI trivia. The session is not exactly a presentation. We are here to learn from one another. We'll share our experiences, we'll share our knowledge of this topic, and different people would take whatever they've. You learn new things. You learn new things, and you probably unlearn some things as well, right? So we'll go through some trivial questions just to get us in the mood for the session, and we'll look at some AI fears and hype, some common concerns, some facts, or we'll debate the facts, or maybe they're facts or they're just hype, right? Then we'll look at AI in cybersecurity, the pros and cons. Then from there, we'll go into responsible AI usage. There's no way you work on AI and we don't talk about responsible usage. So we'll look at how do we work on AI responsibly? What questions should we be asking personally or asking our organization? And then we'll jump into another interactive session, painting some scenarios, and you let us know if you would agree to AI usage in that situation or not. So So should be pretty straightforward and it should be fun. I will pass it to Emmanuel to get us started for today.
Yeah, thank you very much, DML. So we'll be basically be going through a little bit of, it's not so much, right? I mean, we just thought we should also introduce it just to get us started, right? In terms of having this trivia. Um, Again, we are basically, at this point looking at ethical concerns, right, that we have in terms of, you're navigating through the AI, the risk and the usage of AI at this point in time, right? A lot of us I'm quite sure we've been using, ChatGPT and the likes, right, for quite some times now. And we thought we should just, also learn a little bit in terms of, your participation. Basically, we welcome that. I'll be posting just about 3, 4, 5 questions or thereabouts, and we talk about it, and again, we learn from it as well, right? So we're gonna be it's only based on ethical concerns, the biases, right? Deep fakes, and also, in terms of regulations and thereabout. So to get started, we're looking at the number one questions around, which I'm actually going to be posting here. So in your own opinion, right? Basically, what is the most concerning, the ethical concern that we have in AI development at this point in time? There is no right or wrong, and answers. Whatever we say is fine. Then we talk about it as well, though we don't really have so much time, but at least we just have to just discuss a little bit about this. So this has to do with, all this ethical concern at this point, right? This particular question.
Okay.
Any volunteer?
It's open to answer, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I
Or
think
we
the
can give
most
options if
ethical
people want.
concern we have, right, is the
Mhm.
option B, data privacy and bias. So I talk about bias in the terms that this AI, it's being built from a knowledge base, right? And it's been the knowledge is being uploaded by humans with bias, right? So you sometimes see this AI having the AI has the bias of the people that built the knowledge base. And that's why we also talk about representation in every aspect and all that. So the AI has perspective from different people, from different nationality, from different genders, right? So it kind of a bias is one thing to think about. Then the second thing is the privacy issue. You have this AI shunning out information. It also even shows that information is gotten from other people to other people, right? So where does how does privacy apply for AI? It's really something we don't know yet. And how far will AI go in exposing the data we feed it to other people? It's something, because you're giving it data and it's putting it to its knowledge base, right? So what's the guarantee you have that it's not going to pass along this data you've given to it to another person? It's surely going to do that, right? So those are the most ethical concern we have regarding AI right now.
Yeah. So any other person want to also add to that?
I can add to that definitely. I would agree with her really because you know what I call AI. I call it especially this generative AI. I call it the nosy neighbor. Really, if anything you don't want anyone else to know, don't tell AI because you really never know. We don't at this point. I don't think we fully understand. We fully understand how it is being used, how what it does with the data, and to now think that it has a database somewhere and this place can get hacked. We don't know how advanced technology would get, but either now or in the future, we would have situations where these databases get hacked. And how much information would the world or the hackers have access to about humans? And I've seen situations where AI actually builds a whole business for people, right? And then has their trade secret, their everything. It could mean the end of some businesses. And of course, individuals as well. If your data secret is out there, some people can do the unthinkable.
Yeah. So yeah. So again, the the correct answer there basically, when you eliminate all the other ones, the A, the C, and the D, right? So it's about data privacy and the bias, right? And as we all know, AI system basically relies on data, right, to make their decisions. And if that is the case, right, yeah. So again, if this data is basically biased, right, or misused, so again, it's going to result into unfair or discriminatory outcomes at the end of the day. And I'm not too sure, for the fact that because I've actually been seeing it as well recently in terms of, and I'm not too sure if it has any kind of ethical concerns when we say AI CISO, because I've been seeing it out there kind of, from some of those big shots, what's it called now? The podcast that those guys are doing and the likes. So again, I'm not too sure what that is going to be like. So they're trying to prefer solution and they're like saying, oh, hey, hi, CISO. So I'm still trying to read more on that, but again, so
There's a
what's
lot.
going to
There's a
happen?
lot that come with AI for sure.
Mm.
Interesting.
Any
Okay,
other person want
blessing.
to talk? Yeah.
Yeah, blessing has a hand up. Please go ahead.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've also had a few instances where I queried uh, the generative AI, and the answer it gave me was actually wrong.
Mhm.
But because
Okay.
I kind of knew the area and I knew what I wanted, I just wanted
Perspective.
another perspective. What it gave me was totally wrong. I now uh, told it that that was wrong, and I gave I corrected it with the right answer, and it kind of thanked me that just gave some excuses that it probably didn't have enough information in that
Mm.
area. So I'm wondering how many responses we get from it at times that are actually right.
Interesting.
And
That's actually an interesting thing. But yeah, go ahead, Emmanuel.
yeah, and speaking of that as well, even whatever AI is giving us, what I do is just to do my own due diligence again as well, right? I mean, that's the best thing we can do. Sometimes I remember I could be searching for, oh, just give me some information regarding ISO 27001, or design something for me. And I remember the one that I basically remember at this point is the PCI DSS, all the 12 requirement. The way he gave it to me was totally so different from what I know, right? So it all depends on how we digest this information, how we
Yeah.
basically, take it from there, right?
Yeah. And there's always a disclaimer. When you look at all these ones,
Mm,
there's always this disclaimer that the information might be wrong. So make sure you do your due diligence.
mm.
And you're not alone, blessing, in telling it, no, you're wrong. I remember what I'm studying an asset recently, and I was like, okay, tell me what my profit would be. And he gave me something to, of course, I already did my calculations before I decided to sell, right? And then it gave me something totally different. And based on its calculation, I'm supposed to be like a multimillionaire right now. So I just
Uh,
told it, no, yeah, this is not correct. Have you looked at the right places for the calculation? I had to give it the right sources to get the calculation right. I was, okay, then it apologized and did it again and got the right profit for it. So yes, AI, and these are things that's why we're here today, right? These are things we'll look at today. Um, back to you, Manuel.
okay, so the next question revolves around, unintended, consequences of the decision the AI makes. Um, let's look at this question together and see what is the best, answer here.
What refers to the unintended consequence of AI decisions? Let's get the incomplete data. That's definitely, I guess, going back to what Blessing said earlier.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
Can we
So
all see the charts? Can we all see the options in the chat? Or do you need us to read it out?
I
Yeah,
can
we
read it.
can just see it.
Okay.
Okay.
And this people might be on their phone.
Yeah,
Mm,
I think Euphemia is right. I think it's algorithm bias because
mm,
it's the data it has, so it can only make decisions based on the data it has, even if the data it has is incomplete. So I think it's definitely the algorithm bias. Because looking at this algorithm transparency, that's a good thing, right? You know? Yeah. So
Yeah, again,
Sorry, do you mind reading the questions and answers again? Because I'm on my phone.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, right.
sure,
That's
sure.
what
I can do that. So the question 2, what term refers to unintended consequences of AI decisions based on skewed or incomplete data? Option 1, algorithmic transparency. Option B, model uncertainty. Option C, algorithmic bias. And option D, decision neutrality.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, if I want to go, for this question, basically, it's all about algorithmic bias. And as we mentioned earlier on as well, right? So this, occurs when AI systems, produce, unfair results, maybe due to biased or incomplete training data, right? And I read somewhere as well some times ago whereby a healthcare, AI may even, misdiagnose certain ethnic groups if it is not well trained or, on diverse data. That's another thing, right? So it's all about training, the AI to model in such a way that you don't want that bias to basically come to play. So
absolutely.
any other contribution? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I guess ultimately, like you said, if whatever data, like, we all know that AI works on data, right? Whatever data it has, it's what it will work on. And we're not even, if we even go deeper into like how the algorithm was actually configured and all of that or tested, even prior to you using it, that's a different conversation. So, but on our part, I guess the best we can do is give it as much information as you think it would need to give you the response you're looking for without exactly giving it too much. Which we can argue about how much is too much again, right? But yeah, Samuel, please. Good to have you back. Good to have you here, Sam.
Oh, my people, good to be here also. Can you hear me?
I can
Yes,
hear
loud
you.
and clear.
Sorry, I'm joining on my mobile phone. I'm doing other things as well. Um, so yeah, looking at this question, I think I will want to take a different direction to this, and I feel like I pretty much want to go with the gen of stuff rather than algorithm bias. So what I understand about the algorithm bias is when the data or the model itself is being poisoned. So
sorry,
you have
excuse me, please. I don't know if it's just me, but Samuel, you don't sound so
Yeah, the
Audible.
microphone. Yeah, it's a little bit more
yeah.
footage. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yes.
I think that's my hands free. Okay, just give me like 1 minute. Let me change it. Then I'll come.
Okay,
Okay.
no problem.
Okay. Yeah. While we wait for you, we can. Yeah, Ifemia, please go ahead.
Okay, so my question is now we are talking about the algorithm bias, and these are the information we feed on the system. I'm wondering, is there a way it can be modified? Maybe if there's information we don't want to continue. Take, for instance, a hiring organization that's, let's say when they are employing their staff, they have this bias about women and they prefer to be taking men. Of course, when you come into that kind of system, it means that most women will not get that job. So is there a way that they can update that system, maybe to ensure that the information output will not be like maybe what the previous people has put in that system? So I'm wondering, the information we feed this AI, is there a way we can retrieve some of them? That's my concern. Thank you.
So interesting. So you're talking about the training data, which is exactly what the question is about.
Yeah.
And yeah, addressing it, I guess it's a whole different conversation which we can get into. Well, I don't know, Tutu, you want to say something first?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna say what you were thinking anyway. The most important thing is to have a system where the results of the what AI gives you is audited to check to see what the biases are, to check to see, are there any biases, and also what the training data is. So let's say this organization has been using whatever application for like the AI for maybe 6 months, right? They just implemented it, they've been using it for the last 6 months. At that 6 month mark, I think it's fair to audit the results of that, of what it's been giving you, to see, okay, are there any biases with this? What has it produced? Are the results correct, right? Has it been giving correct results to your questions? What kind of, like, how does it speak to you? How does it respond to you? Those sort of things. And then at that point, if an organization is actually, serious about making sure that their AI doesn't mess up their whole business, right? Part of what it does is, or part of what the responsibility of the organization is to run those audits, look at the results, and say, okay, we might need to maybe change the AI application that we're using, or let the vendor know so that they can make updates to the training data or make updates to the algorithm or whatever. Now, whether or not the vendor is going to do that is up to them. It's their business, but you as an organization have a responsibility to audit the results that you're getting.
Can I stop you?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Because we'll still get into this conversation later and I know she asked that question. We're trying to do. We'll still get into that conversation later in the program. So if you don't mind, just hold that thought for another maybe 20, 30 minutes. Once we get
Okay,
there.
no worries. Yeah, no worries.
All right,
All right.
Samuel.
I think Sam is back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess so. My focus is just to address the question and to just kind of um point out here that the question is actually referring to, the key word here is what's that a word I'm looking for? Unintended consequences, right, of the AI. So the difference there is if it's has to do with the algorithmic bias, that's intended. So algorithm bias is you have a model ready, but you're trying to tweak, you're trying to poison, your training data in order to generate a bias result. Now, for model uncertainty, you have a model that is kind of being trained already. Now, unintentionally, your model or your training set is providing you with with a decision that is incomplete based on your incomplete data. So that's why I think the model uncertainty is really more close to be the right answer rather than the algorithmic bias. So algorithmic bias is also a different term that we use in IT security to which is called the data poisoning. In what we use to hack, generative AI or AI tools. So you can look at it from the perspective and you understand what algorithm. So it's an intention when you're doing algorithmic bias or when you're doing data poisoning. But for an unintentional or unintended consequences, that has to do with, your incomplete, your model is uncertain about the result to provide, or it's not complete in that sense.
So
I think
I get
Tutu.
what. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'll let you to take it. Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
Tutu want to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and yeah, I was going to say, as much as I get where you're going, but even then, part of the information being, or the results, the bias being unintentional, is the fact that you've trained it to the best of your ability, right? Like, you've done what you think is right. You've put out you've trained it to the best of your own ability. But at the end of the day, the data that you're feeding it, you might not realize how biased that information is, because you're thinking, or maybe you bought the data from whoever or whatever, like, and you don't know where they are getting their own data from, where they are getting their own information from. But that data could already be tainted and you don't know. So that's why that's where the unintentional, because you are doing it, with clean hands, but the data is already tainted. And here's the thing. AI is like a baby. We're at this point, it's at the baby stage. You're training it, you're teaching it. And this is the reason why I keep pushing, as much as, yes, it's kind of dangerous to give it a lot of information about yourself and stuff. But I feel like, as as diverse as we have an opportunity right now to teach AI what is right and what is wrong. It is literally, we have a chance. So I don't know, I don't know where this is coming from, but
Yeah,
rather than
Yeah,
screaming,
okay.
oh, unintentional bias or whatever, take the opportunity and turn it into what it is you want it to be, to teach it what is right and what is wrong, so that in the future, as it develops, right? Like I said, it's at the baby stage. As it develops, it starts to realize that, okay, this person is intentionally trying to poison, and it will
So,
get to that stage. But yeah, I'll stop there
oh
for
well,
now.
it's already here. So yeah, data poisoning, yeah, but it's already here. My view on algorithmic bias, I would think of it from a research point of view. Your sample size could be the source of the bias, right? Because the sample size is so limited. Yeah, again, without any internal use. Let's say you've picked the data that focus on a certain population, research that was done, and they found a certain result, and you've just plugged that into your model to train it because it's research, like what, the way it happens is say, oh, some researchers did this and they found this result, and everybody takes it as, oh, that's what it is. And you as an AI engineer or whatever, or an AI product company, you pick that data, plug it into your AI and train it with it. Then, as it's unintended, they didn't plan it, but then because it's been trained with that data, it will just give out results based on that. So I I think poisoning in this case and the bias, an unintended bias, they're not. So when you intentionally poison the data, that's because you want a certain result and you took in it to give you that result, right? Whether for good or for whatever. So I think again, this is why we're having this conversation. And
yeah. So
it's
again,
it's not an exam, right?
yeah. Sorry, someone
So,
wanted to talk, right?
yeah, I think Uche wanted
No,
to
no,
say
no.
so.
Sorry, just a question. I wanted to ask a question just to get a clarity on something. So when we
Yeah.
say incomplete data, is the data is the incomplete data on the prompt that is fed to the AI, or from the model that AI is using to make
The
decision?
training data
Where is
while
the
AI is being trained.
From
So
the
we're talking
model,
about,
yeah.
yeah, when it's been trained. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I also mentioned earlier on as well an example whereby healthcare AI, it's made misdiagnosed, right? Certain ethnic groups, if it is not trained on diverse data, if not
Exactly.
trained.
Not trained. So
So
it's
that's
more of
the
the training
mm,
data,
mm,
right? So if you've only trained it, and I guess it goes exactly the example you gave goes back to the research part that I said. If the sample size is small and it's only focused on a certain ethnic group, and everybody just anyone with, let's say, heart rate above what is normal for that ethnic group, you just having heart treatment, which could have real consequences, right? Real consequences. It's
all right.
interesting. I think we'll probably spend the whole session on this question.
Yeah, so let's quickly go to number 3 anyways. Question
Yeah.
3. So what is the primary goal of the European Union AI Act? This should be pretty straightforward though, I know.
Yeah.
So A, to regulate hardware use in AI. B, to ensure AI safety and accountability. To
Yeah.
promote faster AI development. D, to provide free AI tool.
Someone said B. Why not
Yeah,
D?
so B,
You should have free access now.
but that is not the goal of the AI Act, right?
Okay, quite
Yeah,
interesting.
that's pretty straightforward. So
Yeah.
the primary goal of
Okay,
that
can I,
European.
sorry,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
before we move on, that question, the way when you were reading it, it sounded very, very familiar to a question that was on one of the exams that I did. And they had that answer, and then they had that same answer and then put in the EU. The actual answer is in the EU because it's the EU, right? Like it's specifically for the EU. So
For the
just
EU,
keep in
yeah.
mind, yeah. So as much as, yeah, it's used all over the world, it's for the EU. It's not for the whole world. So if you ever come across a question in an exam, you know what to do. It's not for the whole world. Keep that in mind, please.
They are
Coming
very
from the
tricky
industry
like
next
that.
time.
And I think has
PTSD,
that been
exact PTSD.
has there been any other
Interesting.
hacks apart from these EU hacks?
The number of regulations and standards coming up. I know
South Korea.
in South Korea. Okay, I'm not even aware of that. Oh yeah, we have a privacy person in the house. She can tell us more. So I know there are a number of regulations and all of that being worked on right now. The US, I know they were working on one, but then with the change
They've
of
not
government,
gotten
we
one
don't know
yet.
where
Yeah.
that is going. Yeah. So yeah, of course, the number of regulations that are coming up that I know. I don't know much about the South Korea one, but I think you can tell us more if you want to.
I don't know. I haven't read up on that. I'm just aware. I'm so behind, but yeah, I do know that South Korea has an act. It came out like January, so everyone was making raves about it. But yeah, I don't.
Right.
Sorry,
Okay.
I can't really say much. But I do have an article if anyone is interested in the difference between the EU and the Chinese AI regulations. I'm a member of the IAPP, so I get all these emails, but I can put that in the chat if anyone's interested.
Okay.
I can also look up the
Absolutely.
South Korea one quickly.
Please
Thank
share.
you.
That would definitely help. Please share. You can put it in the chat here, but we'll put it on school later. So just a reminder, we should all join the school community. I'll share the link. Let me do that now. But we can continue with the session. I'll share that.
All right, that sounds good. The next question. So what is which of the following best describes deepfakes? Fake news article generated by AI. B, AI generated synthetic videos that mimics real people. C, misleading search engine results. D, fraudulent social media accounts.
B.
B. That sounds good.
It's B. We've
Any-
seen the pictures with 6 fingers.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I also, what you just said now. The likes of Scarlett Johansson, right? The Wonder Woman. She recently condemned the use of AI after her likeness as real that was used for these viral videos of celebrities condemning Kanye West anti-Semitism, whatever that he did recently, right? So, a couple of all those celebrities are coming out to speak against such whatever. There should be regulations around AI, and it's really going so fast to the extent that we can't even control what can be produced or generated out of AI at this rate, right?
There's a lot. Question I have though is, so are deep fakes all bad? Like, is it so bad?
I think they are all bad. Do you know why I say they are bad? Because even if you're trying to pass a message and you're forming it's not real, right? It's not real. I mean, if it was even the ones that people were editing their photos with AI is actually taking other people's photos and putting your face on their photo, which I don't think it's okay, right? The original owners of this image, they've not given consent for that. You're using people's image and you're putting your head on it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's not right. Even if the person, one of the individual involved is doing that, because you don't have consent from the other person.
Okay,
So
what if
I
you have
don't think it's
consent?
right.
What if you have consent?
Well, that's another
I'll
thing.
give you an example. I'll give you an example. So there are people that actually get paid to put their likeness on certain AI tools to be
Exactly.
used for certain purposes, like
Oh.
for advertisement, and you can even put your
So
own
social
face
media too.
and all of that
Exactly.
to make certain videos for you on your behalf. It would sound like you, it would look like you, it would move their mouth, your facial movement would be just like you. But that's with consent. Is that bad?
Yeah, if I can.
Yeah.
Can I quickly just
something.
yes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Is it okay?
I just
Yeah,
wanted to say, like, obviously, generally, it's very dangerous because you can get like people in very influential people being appearing to say things that they never did, but perhaps for like things like humor purposes, it's okay. And as long as it's clearly stated that, you know, it's a deepfake video, this isn't real. Like I know in China, for example, if you're using deepfakes, you really have to like literally state it. But I think for like humor purposes, it's okay. But as long as you literally state that, okay, this is a deepfake video, like maybe I don't know. I'm fine.
I
Well, for
think
me, I think that's okay. I don't know.
I think that it's how you look at it. Oh, there are a lot of things that are deepfake, but it's the use that determines if it's called deepfake or not. So if you know this guy Melvin Kranzberg, he made a statement. He says technology is neither good nor bad, or is it neutral?
Mm.
So that thing that he's saying, it just highlights that there are a lot of unpredictable natures, emerging technologies, and that, and then that would just underscore responsibility of the user of it. So if you're applying AI, whether it's beneficial or it's harmful, it rests in the hands of the one who is created it. And just like Mukhtar said, if you go into the film industry now, before they used to have people who can actually mimic maybe the lead actor's voice because they pay huge sums of money for the actor. So if they are editing the video and there's a part that he didn't say something right, they bring in those people to come and say it the same way. But now AI has revolutionized that side of it. So business wise, they are saving a lot of money there. So instead of you hiring another person who will now come and then act what they like say what the actor was saying that he got wrong. You just use
Mm-hmm.
AI to edit that part of it. So it's just that you calling it deepfake makes it look bad, but when you're applying it for the good of it, then you have a lot of good use opportunities for it. For instance, like even with presentations, recently I did a video presentation at my work and I used this guy's voice, Morgan Freeman's voice for it. And the attention was so good, like for the audience, even though it, I wasn't present to do the presentation, but because I had that subtitle, Morgan Freeman's voice reciting it, it was so engaging. So it's the use case that determines if it's bad or not. So you might not be able to condemn it totally or just say, okay, it's good, but it's the user of it that's determine what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Thank you very much, Samuel. I think Solia is
And I
you
think
can go
Two,
next.
two, two, two
Okay,
first.
Tutu.
Okay,
Okay, Tutu.
two,
I
nine
couldn't
first.
see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I agree with part of what you said, Samuel, but the key is regulation. Yes, it is up to the user to use it properly, but as we all know, we're not children here. As we all know, some people use certain things for nefarious purposes.
Mhm.
So if you have regulations around it, like exactly what Adejoke said about put it there, like this is a deep fake. One of the
Mm.
things I saw a documentary somewhere about like how they teach children, I think it's in the Netherlands or something, and they actually have classes on how to identify fake news.
Mm.
Those are some of the things that as this thing progresses, as AI continues to grow and all that, at some point you won't be able to tell if it is
What
a
is
deep
real or
fake
not real, right?
or if it's real or not real. So there
Mm.
should be regulations around it. Yes, absolutely. Teach the kids how to identify it and stuff like that. But at some point it's going to be like second nature. It's going to be like Google. Like now nobody says, "Oh, I'm searching something out on the internet." They just say, "I'm googling it."
Mm.
So these are the things that you we need to think about. There needs to be regulations around it to prevent nefarious use and to help people identify if it's real or not, because these things have incredible real life
Consequences.
consequences. So we have to take that into consideration when we're making decisions about whether or not to use deepfakes. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tutu. Solia next.
Yeah, thank you. I think people have mentioned some of the things I wanted to say in terms of regulation, the ethical use. Even for my question is, and this is for Samuel, for the people that are using it for the intent good, right? I saw an advertisement of someone, and the person, I know how the person sounds, right? But when I said, oh man, like this is not real, this is not the way she speaks. And with that, I was not even, and this is someone that I listen to, I appreciate what she's doing, but I not for the person not using their authentic voice, I start questioning why would they do that. Does that make it okay? you know I understand, you might want, I understand why in terms of businesses cutting costs and some other things to get more views and all, but does it make it okay? But is it not misleading? Will you not um lose people's trust in the process of doing that?
I
Interesting take.
yeah.
Well, okay.
Sorry. I think it's like you said, like there are regulations that are coming in, and these are the questions that are bringing the regulations. And if you do research and all that, you don't take credit for what you don't. It's like if you want to compare, you can put the question and say, is a hacker good or bad? Right? There's a white hat, there's a black hat, using the same tools. That's the purpose of it, right? So if I use Morgan Freeman, at the end I reference and I'm like, okay, this is what I use. And there is a reason why I want to use it. Maybe that video that I want to, if I use my own voice, might not be engaging enough, but it's on me, the user, to be able to say that I'm referencing this person. And that is what we have to be doing. And that's why the regulations are there. You cannot take someone's stuff and use it without giving credit to the person. And the regulations are what's going to make that like really right.
So
Thank you.
just to add to that and to move past this, deep fakes and misinformation, I think they go hand in hand. And if we are aware of the technology behind deep fakes, I think they call it GAN or so, generative adversary network, right? Um, as we know as well, basically what it does is just to create hyper-realistic videos and all that. But the most important thing that might take away from this is that, despite the fact that, they can be creative, they have this potential to be much, much creative, right? But at the same time, are we not concerned as well about, a situation whereby it could be weaponized, right? To spread misinformation and all that.
Yes.
So, and I think that's where all these, regulations and what have you basically, help out.
I know I saw Sam's up earlier. I don't know if he still has something to say before I say anything. Sam Aliko.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think yes, Samuel actually spoke my mind. I was actually going to come from the perspective of using the example of what you said about white hacker and black hackers, right? Yeah, there could be a lot of regulations even till now. There are frameworks, there are standards, there are regulations, and despite that, we still have some malicious activity. We still have hackers, still using the same tools that are meant to be protecting, our system to actually still poison or to attack the system. So that's the way my perspective around, deepfakes. It has its own good side and it has its own bad side. And the bad side will actually be used maybe by some adversaries or by some attackers to actually be able to, mislead people one way or the other. But yeah, regulation will do its own part in terms of organization trying to implement or using it for the purpose of their business operations or for anything that has to do with their business. But generally speaking, we can't totally come to the term to say deepfake is either bad or good. It's just same thing as phishing is there. There's phishing is just to mislead you. The social engineering is just it kind of relate. I'm trying to relate it to that. Where we have social engineering and deflects like social engineering in AI. So that's just my perspective. There's a good side to it, which is okay. We use that for the good side, and there's also the bad side to that. And you just need to find the regulation and how. I don't know if there are tools or there are systems that can be used to identify and to be able to block, just the same way we have in social engineering tools that can actually be able to identify, for example, phishing emails there are tools that you can use to identify and be able to stop it. So that's kind of my own perspective about this.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I agree with Samuel as well in terms of, yes, it's just like the topic. It's a double-edged sword. Whichever one side of it can work for you, the other side might not work for you. You just have to be, as an individual, as individuals, we have to be careful how we use it. To what Celia said earlier, yes, I think I have an idea you were talking about. And for me, I have a different view of what the person did. Yes, it was interesting. It was funny when I saw it the first time that I'm actually doing this. But then thinking of it again, that person bought their time back. The time they would use to make that video, they bought it back by buying an AI tool that can do that for them. And they can use, I don't want to say he or she, so you don't know what I'm talking about, or at least have any idea what I'm talking about. But then they bought their time back. There's nothing like I think the two Sams said, as long as you disclose when you use AI, there's nothing against it. I'm an advocate of efficiency. Whatever is as long as it's not unethical, as long as it's ethical, anything that would make you work more efficiently, I'll go for. Okay. Just make sure that it's ethical. If it can get you there faster, yes, by all means.
Yeah, and I think perfect. And I think we having the mindset of the good, the bad, and at the same time acknowledging the fact that while these deepfakes can basically have this creative potentials, right? They have a lot of creative potentials in there, and whatever you want to do with it, right? You do with it and all that. But also acknowledging the fact that the downside, the cons of it as well. So being conscious of those two parts, right? It goes a long way at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
please.
Yes, sorry, still on this topic. And I promise this is the last one. I just remember what Tutu said about training AI, right? And Mukta, I'll give you this example of one that we just bought of recent. If you notice something, every avatar on that platform, if people, even though it's different skin color and everything, but it's people speaking a certain way.
That's a limitation right now.
Yeah, exactly. Is that not where the bias comes from? If we keep promoting some certain set of people, not just the face now, the voice. And if AI is still like the baby, like the sample Tutu gave, and we need to train it, but we keep feeding it some certain information, maybe in terms of okay, they've moved past face, but the faces it's just different people, but they still sound like the accent is still from just a
certain people
particular
from a certain part of the world. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Right. So it's a limitation. I agree with you, but it's not exactly a down. Yeah, we can call it algorithmic bias or whatever we want to call it. And I'm not arguing about the term we use for it. It's a limitation, but AI is evolving. I'm sure it will evolve to the point where it doesn't matter what you act, what you sound like, it would sound exactly like you.
Over time.
Yeah, over time, exactly. So I would see that as a limitation right now, not exactly a bias. Just my view of it.
I kind of agree that it might not be a bias, right? But it's our responsibility. Like I feel like if you're the one saying, okay, someone has their shoe on my neck, they have their foot on my neck. You have to be the one to say, look, guys, your foot is on my neck. Get it off my neck. And it's your responsibility because that person is just living their life, but they have their foot on your neck. So they're not feeling anything from it. You're the one feeling the pain. So you have to talk. How do they put it? It's the person that wears the shoe that knows where it pinches. If you know where it pinches and you're not saying anything, no one's going to assume that you're in pain. It's not their responsibility to assume you're in pain. It's your responsibility to speak up and do something about it. Don't just speak up, but do something about it. And the wonderful thing right now is I feel like there are enough of us in this space that we can actually do something about it.
100%.
That's all I've got to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. spent so much time on these
Yeah,
questions. One hour
exactly.
actually.
we never anticipated this, right?
Yeah.
So I think we should go to the next
Absolutely. Yeah.
section.
And I guess, yeah, this conversation will most likely just continue. Talking about the fears and common concerns with AI. We started talking about it already. And I guess the one we haven't talked about, we've talked about usage, we've talked about bias, deepfake, and all of that. One thing we haven't talked about is, will AI take our jobs? What do you guys think? Are we in trouble?
Well. I think
Sorry,
we
I can
have.
jump in real quick
Okay,
because
go ahead.
I'm going now. But my
All right, please
quick
go
and
ahead.
straightforward
Go ahead,
answer is
Samuel.
no. It's not going to take our job. It's no. You just
Absolutely.
need to advance. Like AI is advancing. Individual needs to also advance as well. For example, in security, there are a lot of things that we do that AI is taking over. Now, how do you advance to now use the tools to your advantage to interpret what AI is actually doing to validate that? So, and just kind of make our work faster and easier. So, my own response is always like, if I can say it all over and over again, I can explain why it's not going to take our job. 100%, I'm sure about that. Some profession will actually go away, and that's why I'm talking about advancement as well. So if you realize that the AI is coming in to take that profession, then you try to advance. Like, for example, Mark Zuckerberg has just announced about how AI is going to take over most of the software development job.
Yeah.
But really, is it going to take it? You just need to advance in your own technology as well to ensure that where the AI stops is where I'm, coming in to be able to, do what I have to do. So that's kind of my own opinion on that. Thank you for having me, guys. I have an hard stop.
Yeah,
I need to
thank
join
you,
another
Sam. Great.
meeting. It's always
Thank you
nice to
very
be here.
much.
Thank you. Yeah, have a good
Yeah,
one.
it's interesting. And I always say that some people will operate the AI. AI will not operate itself. Else we'll be in trouble, right? So if AI is going to take your job, what are you doing to control the AI that will take your job? That's what I always say. Sam, please. Second Sam.
Thank you. So I think um, the question is it's so direct. So I would say that um, it's going to impact our jobs, right? Some people will benefit, some people will be shaken. Right now, the 'cause where I work, um, we've had so many automations, right? And we felt that when it started about 2 years ago, when it was at its peak, we were like, oh my God, a lot of these guys are going to be displaced. But funny enough, it has created more jobs rather in that field now. We've actually employed more people than we are supposed to, like we had before. So definitely, it's a huge transformation. It will eliminate some kind of jobs, especially the repetitive ones that we see, right? And it's like you said, it's for us to consider reskilling as quick as possible, and then upgrade ourselves so that we become even more relevant and unreplaceable. Yeah, that's my
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted that clarity as well from the other Sam, when he said he's not going to take our jobs. I mean, when he said our jobs, what kind of job was he referring to at that time?
Yeah, I guess he concluded that everyone on the call will be security people, security
Yeah,
professionals. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. The jobs would evolve. That's
Mm.
for sure. The repetitive tasks will likely go away. Certain things will likely go away, but make sure you're not sticking to, oh, this I've always done and I can't evolve.
Mhm.
Just retire already, right? Because you'll be left behind.
Exactly.
And we've, in my own view, we've talked about regulations, we've talked about standards a lot. Now, the governments are acknowledging the fact that AI needs to be managed. AI needs to be regulated. If not, we would lose control of it. If you let it just roam free, right? We lose control of it. In my opinion, as security, and I believe a lot of people here are security professionals, right? The best place to be is to be in the position to manage the AI, how AI is built. I know someone here that is already a lead implementer for AI management. Be a lead auditor for AI because, like the person rightly said, AI needs to be audited from time to time for bias and other things, right? Be at the front and center of controlling how AI is managed. Now, if you start that today, and I don't think it's a well-established space right now that you can be at the forefront of it right now.
It's not established at all. Like nothing is happening. So
It's still in its infancy, yes.
You can literally be whoever it is that you want to be. And that's why I'm pushing it. Like, guys, let's not cry, oh, somebody is taking advantage of me. Like you can do something about it. So get up and do something about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Does anyone else have something to say? Whose jobs will go away? Are you scared for your job right now? Okay, looks
we
like
can
nobody's
be scared, but at the
So
same time, sorry.
okay.
So
So
wait, okay.
personally for me, I'm not scared of my job, but I think some people should be scared of their jobs. You know, some jobs that are so fixing a routine that they don't really need human interaction. But I feel once your job has human interaction in it, AI can take it over because AI is not gonna conduct those meetings. AI is not gonna relate with people as you would. But let's say we've seen instances of we've seen pictures of robots actually serving people food in Japan and countries like this, right? Those are people's job that it has taken over. But then let's remember that a country like Japan has a declining population. So they don't even have enough workforce. So they have to come up with that. But I don't think they would, if they had the workforce, I don't think those robots would be doing those work, right? They are doing
They
it
will,
because
I tell you.
humans are not, they don't have the humans that are willing to do it and able to do it. There are lots of old people there, people that they are not working, they shouldn't be working, but they're still working, right? But basically, I don't think we have to fear AI taking over our jobs.
I'll just say something real quick before I go to Celia. So just to respond to Tochi. Yes, Japan is where it is, and Japan, they're probably more technologically advanced than a lot of other countries. But I'll tell you, as a businessman myself, it doesn't matter if the workforce is there,
Decline or not.
companies would use AI. Because I'd rather use a machine because it saves me money. It's cheaper, no matter how much it costs. It's cheaper than hiring a person, even on minimum wage. It is way cheaper. And then you know that AI, yes, there'll be some downtimes, but very few. If you have a good agreement, it's probably 99.9% of the 99.5% of the time, it's probably up and running. Any machine, any technology. Humans would take time off. Humans would need family days. Humans would, sick kids, take kids to whatever, family visits. You suffer burnout. There are times where you are at your peak, there are times where you slow down. That's not the same with technology, including AI. So businesses would take technology over people anytime, any day. So it's not a question of the population is declining in Japan. It's the fact that they have technology in place to replace humans in some places. Now, Celia, please.
Thank you. Um, Mine is not just if AI is going to take over our job or not. Even if AI does not take over our job, there are humans coming, more smarter people, younger generation coming behind that can take over that job. So it's not, the fear is not just AI alone, right? And the question is for me is, what are you doing about it? What are you going to do to improve yourself? Even for the jobs that are repetitive, there are ways that you can make yourself more productive. You can move around, like someone said, don't just stay in a spot and stick to the repetitive way things have been done several years ago. What are you doing to improve yourself? Even if eventually AI takes over your job, are you the go-to person that can, because they need people to operate that AI. They need people that understand that system, that process, that they're going to feed AI that information. AI is just not going to learn itself. What are you doing for yourself to be that person that your organization can look up to before it gets to that time? Because even if AI does not come, younger generations are coming. Smarter people are coming. So yeah, that's my contribution.
Yeah, to add to that, Celia, thank you very much. Again, we keep saying, yeah, they're not going to take our jobs, they're going to take our jobs and all that. Even if they're not taking my job, what about my family members? I think in that regard, because again, my job is secure. Yeah, AI is not going to take it over, right? But what about my wife or my friends and all that? They're not doing exactly what I'm doing, right? So, but what are we doing about it based on what Tutu said, based on what Celia as well said? I think that should be
I'll
the
put
most
that
important
question
thing.
back to you, Manuel, and everybody else.
Mhm.
What are you doing to help your family members do better at their job so AI doesn't take their jobs?
I can tell you for a fact, for instance, my wife, she's a scrum master and all that. Now they're adopting, digital transformation and what have you, right? They're
Yeah,
telling them that it's no more going to be scrum master role. They're going to be calling them something else, and
yeah,
all that. And I was like, again, you can't rely on what exactly you're doing. For me, if I stay in a place for like just 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, I'm not always comfortable again. I want to do something new. I want to evolve to be a better person as well. I don't like sitting down and not learning new things, right? So again, it's all about educating ourselves, being aware exactly the fears. I mean, and all the things that we feel that yeah, it's going to impact us one way or the other. So we need to also educate because we are educated in terms of this cybersecurity stuff. Some people that are very well, advanced as well, they don't know how to prompt AI properly as well, right? But again, it's all about educating ourselves, exposing them to all this threats and what have you, right? So
yes,
that's what
exactly.
I'll say.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because, okay, Sam, please go ahead. I feel like
Oh, my hand is still up, sir. I think
Yeah.
Emmanuel just answered what I was going to say. As for the jobs, they are never secured. We are
Mm,
all very replaceable. Um, recently, one of our guys just decided he was going to stop, and I heard he's worked at the company for like 35 years. And when he left, the replacement that we had, the young guy,
mm.
he's like maybe 200% better than the other guy, the one who we thought that we can never do away with. And we saw what we were missing.
Mm,
So we can like you always have to position yourself. You have to position yourself right. Yeah.
mm,
And even with this AI thing, recently, was it 2 days ago? I went for an award. I almost won an award because of AI. Because we
mm,
created
interesting.
some simple chat bots from
mm,
Copilot just on how we are able to incorporate our physical demand analysis to the various jobs that are around. And it was something that we didn't spend time creating at all, and we were so recognized for it. And it was
mm,
funny, even though we didn't win it,
mm,
because the one who won it saved the company about $5 million on their project. So that was the
mm.
only reason why they won. But it's like AI can also help us, right? We can leverage on it to be better at where we are, right? That's what we should concentrate on. But as for
Yeah,
taking
for
of
sure.
jobs,
Mm,
nobody's irreplaceable. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, for sure. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
An interesting thing that came to mind talking about this, and it's something I always say, and for those that know me well here, we know that I always say this: treat your career like a business. It is your business. Don't wait for an employer to determine your trajectory. You determine how
Mm,
far you go, right? So at every point in time, make sure that you're responsible for your own growth, right? So I met a guy, and of course, I chat with a lot of people, right? And this guy came, I was like, oh, now I want to do cybersecurity. And on my head at that time, I was like, okay, I think you're starting too late. Because what happened? He was a head of a branch of a bank, of a branch of a bank, and he helped them digitize a lot of
mhm,
their projects. Then it's like, oh yeah, this was a successful project. He led the project.
mm,
And at the end of it, they closed down that branch. because of digitization.
Mm.
And at that time, I was like, oh, I don't ever want to lose my job again. And now I want to do cybersecurity. Like, okay, it's good. It's good that you're starting at all, but you're starting too late. You should have seen it. You should have seen it. You should have seen it coming. They're digitizing for efficiency's sake.
Yeah.
Something would give, right? Something would give. So I guess I'm putting that back to everybody. Don't wait for an organization to determine how far you go, where you go, because you'll be disappointed. 99% of the time, you'll be disappointed. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else to add to that, or we can move to okay. I don't think we'll
I
go
think
past this part.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so maybe I can just still talk about the pros and the cons, right?
Yeah.
Because if we go by what we have in here, if you're going to spend past the time that we have.
Absolutely,
Yeah. So one thing about this, here in cybersecurity, the pros and the cons and what's of view. Again, I think when we're deliberating about this topic as well, we did mention something about navigating the AI risk usage, right? And it all boils down to the major risk that we have, the AI risk, to be precise. We are going to be talking about the data privacy and security, right? The algorithmic bias and fairness, and also the deep fakes and misinformations, adversary attacks, maybe lack of accountability and regulations as well. So, so in your opinion, I mean, what are the pros and the cons that you feel that in this time and age of this AI and with the risk that we have?
And we know that it's still evolving, but based on what we have or the potentials, is it worth the hype? Are there advantages to AI usage, or like Techi said, the things are just bad? We should run from them. What are your thoughts, guys?
There are definitely advantages. All I see, honestly, are advantages, because it's a tool, right? It's like money. It's not good. It's not bad. It's the person that's using it. Money just shows you who
The
you are,
intention,
really.
right?
That's an interesting thing.
Exactly.
Is money not the root of all evil?
No, the love of money is the root of all. It still falls back to you. Do you love it? Is it you? It's you. It's you that decides what it's gonna be. So money is a tool. AI is a tool. It's up to you to AI just shows you who you are. If you're a good person, AI will will show you that you're a good person. If you're a terrible, insidious person, it will show you exactly who you are. So honestly, there are only pros to it. And it still falls back to everything we've been talking about. Get ahead of it. Show what it is that what it can do. And your organization is not it's not because they don't want to let you go, but they won't be able to let you go because you're ahead of it. You're the one leading the charge. So in my own organization, I'm probably one of the first people that have gotten that certification. I pushed one of my colleagues to do a certification, and she did it. So it's now both of us, because I kept mentioning that she did it too. So it's both of us that are leading the charge. Basically, we're the ones creating the documentation, creating how, like, dictating how it's going to be used. And this is not this is not a small organization. This is a massive organization. It's a global organization. And the idea that little old me is the one deciding what they're going to be doing with AI is very intimidating.
You're part of the governance.
But imagine, I don't think these people know what they are doing. But but thank God, because like this is yeah. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes you don't realize how like the impact what you're doing is making until you take a step back and be like, wait, I actually did this, and they're actually using it. And we're not talking about, and of course I know the company, we're not talking about a company out of Alberta, we're not talking about a company that is just Canada based. Like, this is a global organization, right? So I don't know if you've
So
taken
they're
taken
only
time to
pros.
look at what you're doing yourself.
No, I haven't. I haven't had the time to take a look at what I'm doing. Like at this point, the documents, the policies and like procedures that we're creating, they're trying to they're testing it now in Latin America. They're testing it in North America. They're testing it in Canada. So like it's incredible to think about, but these are things that it's a matter of get on the bandwagon or get run over. It's not
Absolutely. Yeah.
there's no, it's like the internet. I don't know who thought that the internet was a fad, but I bet you they're regretting it now. So anybody that has that mindset of, oh yeah, nah, it's gonna come and go, you are sorely
to stay.
mistaken. It's come to stay. So figure out how you're gonna get a piece of that pie and max it out essentially.
At least understand how it works before you say it's bad or it's I told you this is not attacking you. Don't think this is about what you said.
Yeah.
But like before you say, oh no, I can't use it. It's not for me. No, it is for everybody. It's that you run with it or you're left behind. And yeah, being left behind in this age will be so bad that people will hardly find a job if they don't know how AI works. It will get that bad if we're not careful. Or even no matter how careful we are. No, something just, and I know, yeah, we're going off topic now because of time. Something just came to my mind because we talked about regulations a lot. And now it's AI is still in its infancy. We know that there are so many risks around privacy, around misinformation. We've talked about it a lot. And I'm just wondering, is there a place for morality here? In my religion, there's something around what's good is clear, what's bad is clear. In between is ambiguity, and ambiguity is a sin. And I'm asking, is there a place for? Yes, there are no so many regulations. Canada, for example, there's really no regulation for AI usage. So as we speak, right? EU has something. US is coming up with something. Trump is doing his own thing. I'm not saying if it's good or bad, but it's doing his own thing. We don't know what's coming. South Korea has done something. There's so many other countries that haven't done anything. But we know that because there's that gap, people would misuse this. Some would use it to take over the market. Some would use it to dupe people, to defraud people. So many things would happen. And I guess my question is there a place for morality here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. That's the whole point, is to get it right now so that in the future, when people are trying to misuse it, the AI itself goes, no. And it has its own, like it has, and it's not really, I don't even want to say it's really morality, right? It's just humanity, right? Like for it to be, and I know this sounds a little scary, is to like to try to figure out how to make a machine more human, but because we're going to be relying on it so much, we're going to use it so much, we actually want it to be human. We want it to make the right decisions at every point in time. And I'm sure everybody's watched iRobot at some point, right? So don't get me wrong, it's going to make some mistakes, but this is the time to figure out the morality and give it a morality, give it, like, humanize it, because it's going to be dealing with humans. So it should have some sense of morality, have some sense of what's right and what's wrong.
But we're not at that point yet. But between now and then, okay, I'll let Samuel's hand came up first. I'll let you speak. Then Abiola.
Okay, so I think we know AI is technology, right? So it doesn't have feelings, and we are the ones controlling it. So definitely, it is our morals that's going to stand. So highly, morality will play a big role. Um, 2 years, a little about 2 years ago, before this AI craze was like all over the place, there was this guy. I don't know if you heard about him. He created a bot and he streamed a lot of, like, you create videos and you stream it on Spotify and some of all on Boomplay and stuff. And he was making cumulatively he made over $10 million from that. But he was nabbed later on. So if, even though now the regulations are coming up, they will still find a way to nab people based on setting up the existing regulations and setting laws as well. Um, Things are going to trace back, and then a lot of people will be called. Like maybe we might have some people in um, 2019, 2018 being called and then being prosecuted for some of these things. So morality definitely is going to play a huge role. I like how Tutu is a big advocate for it because if we don't sanitize the system, definitely it's going to be biting a lot of us before we start
Yeah.
doing a lot of damage control for some of these things. Because it was a podcast I listened to when we started the program. So I decided to read a little more about it. Um, it's a cybersecurity podcast. I've forgotten the
Right.
guys. Yeah, but when I looked at it, I realized that there are even more of those ones on Telegram and more bots that people are using to make money the wrong way, right? And it's
Right.
it's going to catch up. Like when these regulations get tightened, a lot
And
of people are going to be in trouble for it.
absolutely. And I'm very sorry before you speak. And why I raised that question is the fact that I look back and I know majority of us are Africans. Well, yeah. I look back at what certain things back home when we hear things like, "Oh, this person actually used and again the charms like traditional means to cause harm
To
to
somebody
someone else,
else. Yeah.
And I look at that, I'm like, there's no law. And let's say this thing, and I'm not saying these things are real or they're not real, but we've seen situations where like so someone would hit another person with a ring and the person just becomes dumb or whatever. Now, there are no laws around that. You can't take someone to court and win a case and say, oh yeah, you caused harm on this person, or you killed this person, or you did this to that person. Because the person doesn't even have to touch you, right? That's there. We Africans, we believe to an extent that that is there. But there's no law that says there's no way you can prove it in court, and there's no law around it. And I'm looking at AI that way as well. If the regulations are not tight, if they're not watertight, you can actually, by the algorithm, the AI, your AI, if you own it, and we've seen films, and I hope it doesn't get to that point where AI would take certain decisions on their own on your behalf. And then the question is who's ultimately responsible for that action?
And that's why I mentioned something around AI CISO the other time as well. Some
Yeah.
guys on the internet, and they have that solution already. So they don't know the physical CISO. I don't know how they're going to
They
do
did
that.
AI CISO. They have made
Yeah,
security
exactly.
decisions on their behalf.
Exactly.
And then they'll be in a lot of trouble.
Exactly.
Okay, Aviola, please go ahead.
Hey, hi, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and wonderful discuss so far. I just wanted to put out or mention a couple of things. Tutu, first and first, thank you for being a very strong advocate. In fact, if you are not willing to
What
do
have
it,
I gotten myself into?
hearing her voice alone and the way she goes bam, 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 you'll be like, just wake up. And so for me, when the question was asked earlier about morality, and I've been thinking about this for some time now, is morality should be standard. However, I'm pretty sure most of us will agree that morality is not a benchmark across the globe that is the same. It's not an equal benchmark. So you're in Asia, what you deem as being moral is not the same thing as what an African or what an American would deem as being moral. So that was why I said on the chat that I think it's more of ethical versus morality. Again, because we're of African descent, I think most of us on this call, we are held up on moral standards because of how we're all raised. So back to AI and all the two-edged sword and everything and the pros and cons. One thing I want to also mention is let's not forget, or let's always remember that AI is a technology, which the name can change in another 2 to 5 years with something much more better. So, funny enough, I've been in the IT space for almost all of my life, and I see that there's even IT people that are scared of adopting new technologies. And then most often than not, they get to be left behind or they get to catch on the train at a very early time.
Developers especially, yeah.
Yeah. So please do not fear, because otherwise, I mean, let's look back at any other mobile phone technology that came up well in Nigeria about 20 years ago. If you were not on it now, probably you'll not be using a mobile phone right now or the internet. So let's see AI as something like that. If you see it as a tool for development, for efficiency, for innovation and the likes, it makes it, I think it will make it easier to adopt and learn, as against is something coming to take my job, or is something coming without, sorry, Tochi, I had to mention this human feelings. There are some of your work colleagues that you don't like naturally. I don't like some people because of the way they do or because of how they impact my efficiency at work. I would rather have a machine replace them, truth be told.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm thinking of that as an employee, what do you think the employer is thinking of? What do you think the government is thinking of? What do you think the ruling bodies of the continent are also thinking of? Do you get? And so that's why I put also in the chat a while back that for every new technology that comes, there's always a time for adoption. There's a time for criticizing. I think now is the time AI is being adopted more than it was in the last 5 years. But in the next 2 years, more institutions, companies, continents will adopt it more. But while they are just getting to the stage of adoption, there will now be newer technologies. But if you as a person dissuade the cons, and for me, I think the cons majorly is ethical use of it, basically. And
Exactly.
whether we like it or not, in this world, there are the good and the bad people. If the bad people are not there, then there will be no good persons. So we need the bad people to use it unethically so that there can be the good ones that will correct it. Otherwise, what's the essence of writing policies for us?
You know, if technology has not been abused, if technology is not being used the right way, we don't have cybersecurity, would we?
And it goes back to the human risk again as well, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So for me,
yes,
it's like a cycle that you just have to find a place where you put yourself in, and then just make sure you are evolving with it, basically. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And ultimately, I'd say become a cybersecurity professional, whether you have the title or whatever. Because in everything, what do we do in cybersecurity? We look at risks around technology, around processes, around everything. And that's one thing that would, at least having the fundamental knowledge of cybersecurity would help you do. It would help you look at risk and ask the right questions, which is something we have not been able to touch. The right questions to ask to identify risk and all of that. I'm not sure who's such res. Is it? I think it's Gabriel, right? You have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Gabriel.
Yeah.
Nice conversation so far, DML and everybody in the room. While listening, something just occurred to me, and I might be wrong, so I stand corrected if I'm wrong. But it seems like our perspective of AI in the conversation so far has just been on LLMs, interfacing through our computers, right? Large language models. But I've always been interested in robotics and all of that, and I followed the development of AI before it became cool and commonplace. One thing I've seen, and this is trying to throw a spanner in the wheel, one thing I've seen that's a bit concerning, and I'm not afraid of it, but I believe there's way stronger need for regulations, government policies that regulate AI development, because AI, the LLM part of it is just the most recent part of it. That we have humanoid AIs that mimic and act like birds, like snails, like worms, like animals. They're in different facets and different parts of nature, that you can even see a bee fly into your room. You think it's a natural bee, right? But it's a robotic device that can spy on you, record, and all of that. Now, the thing is that now that they're all having ability to process information. They also have the inherent ability to share and train each other. So the level at which AI is right now that the general public does not really know is that they're very close to becoming sentient, in which they can take their decisions, interpret information, and the the word usually hangs in my tongue. Algorithmics.
Algorithmic.
Thank you very much. That word you said. That bias comes from our bias. Just like sometimes, like people have mentioned here, right? There was a time when, was it Facebook or wherever, they said certain skin tones were not well represented because the program was written to represent other kind of skin tones. Now, this creeps into the AI's perspective of reality, and AI now becomes biased by default. Right now, we are thinking of how it helps us as a tool. Yeah, as a tool is great, but without proper regulation, right, these devices would cross-share information, which is one of the major reasons why OpenAI they were very careful about releasing their AI to have open internet access. There's another event I don't want to share, I don't want to go into because I cannot confirm or deny that since I don't know authoritatively if it actually happened. But in certain quarters, certain people said it actually happened where some AIs became sentient and attacked their developers wherever, somewhere in Asia. But the fact is that we have different kind of AIs in development. They all have access to the internet. They all share information and they can cross-train each other. So if I teach a robot how to fly or how to crawl through water or it can take that information, upload it to another AI system, and they can cross-share and cross-learn. Now, without proper regulation across board, right, we'll wake up one day and realize that we lost it all. So we are focusing on the tool part of it and what we use from our computers and the questions we ask. But this is way deeper and way broader than we professionals are looking at. So the need for regulation should be non-negotiable. How AI, the frameworks and how it's built and who has access to it. In my opinion, I think AI development should be seen almost similar to nuclear armament development. It's really good, but it can be really bad depending on how it's used. And the next few years will let us know. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for unpacking that, downloading that for us today. Okay, I think Tutu has a hands up.
Yeah, let's take Tutu and then because I have a hard stop, and we'll end the session. And I'd love us to have after party, but
honestly, I feel like this deserves an after party. No, so I 100%, 110%, 1,000% agree with you, Gabriel. And I've been following the robotic side of it too, and I realized that the robotic side of it has gone way ahead of the LLM side of it, because the LLM side of it is the part that everybody talks about, everybody knows about. But the robotics part, especially in Asia, the robotics has been like people are marrying robots, right? Like people are choosing to spend their lives with robots than to spend their lives with humans. So there was even a movie about a test, like they were testing something, and there was that sort of scenario mentioned, and that they had to just unplug, and they left the research as like, oh, it's still ongoing, but they just locked the robot in a room and left it there.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the same event. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what
they tried to destroy the robots, according to the story.
But they can't.
One of them reconnected to a passing satellite and downloaded information and rebuilt itself.
Yeah. So it's very important. The regulation aspect of it is 100% needed. The question now is, how are we going to do it? Honestly, it's going to start from individuals. It's going to have to start from organizations just taking charge of and pushing for the regulation. Because if it doesn't start from on like on the individual level, it's not going to get done. Like they're not going to realize like all these big institutions and governments are not going to realize that it needs to get done until people start pushing for it. So now is the time for, and this again boils down to please get in the space so that enough of us are making enough noise that it has to be addressed. Otherwise, it's not going to get done, and we're all going to end up bearing the brunt of it. It's the people, it's the grass that ends up suffering when the elephants fight.
I'm sorry, can I ask you a question, Tutu?
Yeah.
What's the set you're saying we should go get?
So any AI certifications, start to get those. Please start getting any sort of AI. Sorry, what? It's the 42,001 that I did.
So
please.
yeah, there's the
GB.
big one. ISIS was 2001, which as a Masha Tech we can train you on that. There's the one from, I can't remember that one is free. That can even be a starting point.
Security or something like that, right?
Yeah, yes, that one. AI security and governance. It's kind of like the foundation, the fundamentals of it. So you can even start with that one. It's totally free, and everybody going through our program have access to it.
I've done that.
You have, oh, perfect. Yeah. Exactly. And then you want to take it to the next level. You can go and become a lead implementer, or a lead auditor, which I highly recommend because you're telling the world, because that's more expensive. Talking about like I'm sure it costs between 1,800 and 2,500 USD to get certified. But what you're telling the world is that you are the front and center of controlling how AI is managed. So as for 2001 is an international standard for AI management systems. So if anyone needs it, let me know. We can talk about it. But yeah, it's
I don't mind sharing it in the chat and sharing it like on school as well, just to remind people that this is available to get the free ones and the paid ones, please.
Yeah.
And just get in the space, like anywhere where you can put your head, just get in the space.
And you know the thing with space. Yeah, you know the thing with AI and just like cybersecurity, and this is something we're saying as a company that cyber education is not just for people trying to transition in terms of their job title. And AI is the same thing. You have to know it. You don't have a choice in today's world. Technology is evolving. AI is evolving as a technology itself. You just need to know it. You need at the minimum have the foundation, the fundamental knowledge of how it works, or at least how you can work it. Not just how it works, but how you as a person can work it and use it on your job. That's how you become more relevant in your job. Even when they're talking about AI and they know that you're the go-to person, they want to come to you. When they're talking about security or certain technology, they're trying to implement AI, and you're asking the right questions, definitely they'll come to you. You'll most likely need that implementation. Even when it's done and they need extra training, you're the one they're putting forward for it because you've shown something. So it doesn't matter if you're tired of your job or you're scared that you will lose your job. I just start. Start before you need it. The best time to start is before you need it. Of course, the better time is when you need it.
Yeah, interesting conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're way over time. I really have to go now. But thank you all for
and yeah, so the survey is on the chat as well. If you don't mind,
please.
yeah.
It's already pinned. Please fill the survey so we can get better. If it's too long, if it's too short, if you want more of this, let us know what and the topics you would like us to discuss. We're having the planning team members, we should be having our planning session either this month or next month, right? To plan topics for the rest of the year. So please, whatever topic you'd like to see discussed, please put it in the survey. Would address it as part of our planning. Thank you all. And for those that are not yet in our cybersecurity program, the February cohort have started already and enrollment is still ongoing. The model has changed a little bit. So yes, the enrollment is ongoing and the group have started. So if you want to join, book a session with us. I should put it in the chat as well. Book a session with us. We would like to know more about your background and see how we can help. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well, being with you today, DML. And thank you very much, everybody. Tutu, Samuel, Tochi, those that spoke and those that didn't speak. We appreciate you guys, Abiola, Samuel, second Samuel. Yeah, it's nice, speaking with you guys today. And I'm really happy we have this conversation as well. Tochi, you have your hand up.
I heard so many sorry, Tochi. There's nothing to say sorry, Tochi. I just said my opinion. You say your opinion, and that's okay. And that's fabulous, right? I mean, it's such a short time, right? You can't even say everything you feel about a topic. While I still said my own view, I still agree with so many of the views that were shared, and there was no need for the sorry, Tochi. Abiola, special note.
It's the Canadian in us.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Now, so
everyone.
let's have this conversation, I beg.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting conversation.
Yeah, that was a very interesting one.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks.
Enjoy. Have a
Bye
good
now.
weekend and a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye now. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye. All right, DML.
That was good. Thank you.
Okay, let me leave.